Hello, everybody. Stephen Hughes here on hand for a very serious topic. This is Stephen's All Out Baseball, but it's Stephen's All Out Special. It's in relation with Stephen's All Out Baseball show. This is obviously what's his Biogensis. I spelled it wrong. It's supposed to be E between the N and the S. I apologize, but pretty much you probably heard the name if you've been related to baseball in the last 2 years. Biogensis, the Miami clinic that shut down after half a year, 6 months, and ever since then it's been in relation with baseball players, and now recently brought up high school players, giving them performance enhancing drugs. A very serious topic on hand, as I got questions pouring in from my phone. And also, we got another show on hand that's going on here on Spreaker.com. It's the MLB The Show, Giants Fantasy number 9, that is being played and being announced by Robert Diers. You can tune into that also. But also, you can tune into here by Biogensis. If you have any questions or comments about this Biogensis thing, and I'm going to be talking a lot about Alex Rodriguez. This is going to be a quick of your time, but even though you are here, guys, I thank you for having me be a part of your day and for such a serious topic. And we already got questions, like I said, pouring in through my phone. You guys can actually pour in the questions and the comments on the chat box. You also text me your questions or comments on this number that I'm putting in the chat box. 650-315-6543 is the number you would text if you want to. You also do the chat and so on and so forth. So let's start seeing All Out Baseball show. It's a special Biogensis and why. The owner of Biogensis, Anthony Bosch, has been the main blame to guy because of all this, and it kind of relates back to what has really happened with this. And he's about so this guy, in my opinion, he's a lunatic because he's hurting the game that I love and a lot of people love in America. It's America's pastime game, and this is an issue that was brought up in 2004 about PEDs, and in the last few years it's starting to fade away. And that, we're not starting to worry about it too much. We still have the suspension system where first offense is 50 games, second offense is 100 games, third offense is life banishment. But and then just last year, why? I do not know if the PEDs that were supposedly used by Ryan Braun when he was suspended, but got overturned, if he really was using PEDs. But this year he did. He got the 65-game suspension, and he lost the respect of a lot of people. And there's a recent poll that came out that Braun is the least trustworthy person in all sports. And honestly, that's really nothing you want to be a part of. And let's give you some questions already. I got some questions pouring in a second. From Nicholas Aguilera, do you think A-Rod should get the lifetime ban? And that's a great question, but in my opinion, A-Rod has been, the main person in this topic. It's like Mel Gibson this Jewish slur thing. It's all about him, but it was there's other people behind him. But A-Rod is being the main person here, along with Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun's already suspended, so he's not really a big person about this. Now it's A-Rod, who hasn't played a single Major League Baseball game this year, and the last time he played, he sucked really, really, really much, or sucked a lot, I should say. Proper English. He sucked a lot in the postseason, couldn't hit, got pinch hit for Raul Ibanez, and he came out big, hitting a couple home runs to win the game for the Yankees. That's manly. And then for A-Rod, also during the offseason, giving the other linked players to Biogensis, a recommendation to go to Biogensis, is just wrong. And I've been hearing this all for the last few days. Major League Baseball is not thinking of suspending him because of the link with Biogensis. Is because of the way that it's the labor violation of part of the new CBA that was created about a couple of years ago. And just But I want to answer Nick Aguilar's question. I think it's going to be a no, but I think it's going to be a season-long suspension. If A-Rod were to get the lifetime ban, it is if he gets suspended for both the linkage to Biogensis and his labor violations that MLB has stupidly brought up. I don't know why. I think that they need to concentrate more on the Biogensis thing and having it stop rather than going on to a different topic and subject on how to suspend him. And and then A-Rod said today, it's the money that's stalling A-Rod's talks with Major League Baseball investigators. And I say that's a real shame. And it's a real shame that's the case. A-Rod has been the face of baseball for the last few years. You got other players. Also, you got Albert Pujols. From the pitching standpoint, Clayton Kershaw has been the rising star. You have idols, and a lot of little kids have idols, and a lot of them in New York probably thought of A-Rod or Derek Jeter. Jeter's just coming back a few days ago. Now A-Rod is ruining his legacy. First, he admits that a few years ago that he took steroids, and now he's being linked to steroids again, probably because he wanted to get better. He meets up with this guy, Anthony Bosch, at the 2012 ALCS in Detroit. They meet up. They form a good relationship, and then A-Rod's trying to help him out with some money, and then look, it's a joke. It's a joke, and also I should say this: Bosch, the owner of Biogensis, used forged signatures to obtain PEDs for clients. Forged signatures. Why? This guy's a lunatic. He's ruining baseball. He is ruining it 100%. And I hope that he gets jail time at least. It's actually turned into a federal investigation because now, like I said earlier, Biogensis is linked to give PEDs to high schoolers, which is ridiculous. Which is absolutely ridiculous. This is just the reason why Biogensis would do this is to keep their business going, and it did not work out. Everybody saw what happened to them. They lost everything in 6 months. They had to close down. Next thing you know, they're in the middle of ruining sports itself, not just to baseball, but to PEDs to high schoolers that could do any sport: football, basketball, baseball. Track and field, who cares? There's a lot of sports you can do in high school. There's only one sport you can do in professional sports, which is baseball or basketball. Hopefully Biogensis is not, in the link to other sports, because that would just be a major catastrophe in American professional sports overall. But relating to baseball, this is just a real shame. Let's go to other questions right now that we have on hand on my phone. Guys, remember you can ask any questions or have any comments you have. I'll express them on the show and put it in the chat box, or you can text me. The number is the first chat sentence in the chat box. It's 650-315-6543. That's the number. You text and you hit me up, and I'll answer the question on the show. I got a question from Cameron Sadeghi, who just did a show actually a couple hours ago with Nick Rice. Tune into that show, like it, and download it. It's a great show on hand. Beyond the box score. His question is: do you think that other players are deserving of lifetime banment? Like what he's trying to say is: do you think additional penalties should go towards guys that have already had a first offense, like Yasmani Grandal of San Diego, Melky Cabrera, Bartolo Colon, the notable ones from last year? And I heard that they're not going to do it, but in my opinion, I think they should. If you're linked to a company or a clinic, I should say, sorry if I said company, if they think that it's okay to have an offense, lose 50 games, not be a part of your team in the playoffs. That's the case for Bartolo Colon and Melky Cabrera. And then try to sneak their way back into PEDs and try to do good. For example, Bartolo Colon is having the best year since 2005 when he won a Cy Young when he was younger. 2005 was 8 years ago. He's in his 40s now, and he's pumping 93, 94. He has like a 14-3 record heading into today. How's that the case? That definitely shows that he's using PEDs. It's not even it's not a fantasy that he's not taking steroids. And then for Melky Cabrera, I think he went off it. He's batting like 260. He's not hitting at all. So that really says, hey, if you batted like 330 and was going to be up for the batting title this year, or last year I should say, and then you stop taking PEDs and then you're linked to something, then you have to stop to get the suspicion away from you, and then you're batting 260. That says a lot. A 70% drop in your batting average will say a lot about if you're using PEDs or not. But in my opinion, they should have additional penalties, but they should not be 100 games, because we don't know if they really took PEDs, but if they're related to something, Grandal, Colon, and Cabrera should have 75 game suspensions. Or, what Ron had with the 65 games for the rest of the regular season. I know that's a little bit too late now, because we're now at the point where teams are with 50 games remaining and all that stuff. But I think that their suspensions will be carried over to the 2014 season, or they'll start this year, and then if they make the playoffs, they count it there, and then the next year they finish it out. But let's go to some other questions now that I've received. Nick Rice, who just, along with Cameron today, did his show. Why is gambling punished harder in Major League Baseball versus PED scandals? And that's a good question. Nick Rice is more of an NFL type of guy, but this is a very good question by the NFL geek, I could say. But he actually knows a lot about baseball as well, being from the Southern California area. But let's go straight to his question. Gambling, I think he's relating to the Pete Rose gambling scandal that banned Pete Rose for life in baseball, plus the fact that he's on the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. But PEDs, that's a really good question. I'm pretty I'm for both sides. Like, PEDs, they ruin the game. They put an asterisk in the game, like the Barry Bonds thing that happened. I think gambling is definitely related to Pete Rose, but overall, I think the reason why is because gambling involves money and losing money, and especially for a guy that was involved in baseball for so many years, made a change in baseball for so many years, like Pete Rose. A lot of people might say that there's a fine line between gambling and PED use, and some people feel like PED use is the worst offense in baseball, and that's perfectly fine. I feel like PEDs is one of the worst, ways to get suspended, in all sports, not just baseball. But gambling is not really. We haven't had a lot of gambling. The most recent was Pete Rose, and then about not 10 years ago, but about like 6 or 7 years ago, we had the gambling scandal with an NBA referee. I think he got some jail time for that. Anyway, Nick, I feel like Major League Baseball has a stricter rule on gambling because you're betting the game of baseball, which has been, like I said, America's pastime for for over 100 years, 120 years, I should say, and you're betting on it for money and seeing which team will win, which team will lose for money, and I feel like Major League Baseball feels that's disrespect in a way. So, that's what I'm thinking. That's not the real reason why, but that's what I'm thinking. Great question from Nick Rice. Let's go to Andrew Goldstein, a new member of the National Sports Radio Station. This is the last question I'll do before I go to a quick music break. Andrew Goldstein has this to say: if everybody has access to steroids, are there really an unfair competitive advantage? And yes, that's a very, very quick answer. I can be very vague and say yes, but I want to go straight to the details. those 23 players that have been linked to Biogensis, I should make it 22 because Ron Brown's already been suspended. He's off the list. Well, he's not really off the list, but he's been like checked off and saying, hey, we took care of him. He talked to us, and we're all good with that. But yes, there is. Obviously, players like to be clean. Lance Berkman, Lance Berkman, Craig Biggio. There's some guys out there that were in the middle. Jim Thome, that popped out of my head. Jim Thome, honestly, the best baseball player ever in the steroids era. Pardon me. That didn't take steroids. You are lying if you're saying no, Jim Thome wasn't the best player. You're saying no one else because everybody took steroids. Everybody good took steroids like Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Rafael Palmeiro, all those guys. Jose Canseco, I should say also. But Jim Thome, over 600 home runs throughout his career. Most of his home runs coming from the steroid era. Everybody asking him, is Jim Thome a steroid user? Is he a juicer? And he stuck with hthis belief that, you need true power, you need natural power to be successful in the game of baseball. And that's what he did. That's what he showed. And that's why he's one of my idols, because he was clean in the biggest, era in baseball in being, a tainted asshole, a juicer, and a cheater in baseball. And, Andrew Goldstein, yes, there is a competitive advantage. Look at A-Rod, 2007, batted over 300, 54 home runs, 157 RBIs. Never heard of that ever. Never heard of that. 54 home runs, 157 RBIs. In the last 30 years, I've never heard stats just like that. You know why? Took steroids. Barry Bonds, 72 home runs in a season. Does anyone... Okay, back in the 1990s, 2000, early 2000s eras, they probably don't think, oh, this guy's just a man. He is just so manly, and he is completely off steroids. He could not be on steroids. He has 72 home runs. Now, 2005 to 2013 to the present time, you think about that, 72 home runs in 1 year, that says bullshit. He was a straight up juicer. And a lot of people have, half and half pages, or, page, I should say. One side showing Barry Bonds like in 1992 with the Pirates in the beginning of his career. Then, like in 2004, 2005, he is just humongous. And people are just saying, there's no difference to that. And it's supposed to be in a comedic way or in a joking way. But that's true. You grow strength, you get energy to grow strength off steroids. And it's a true shame that happened. Even though that was with the Balco incident. I'm answering Andrew Goldstein's question, which is, if everybody has access to steroids, are there really an unfair competitive advantage in baseball? And unfortunately, I have to say yes. Great question, Andrew Goldstein. I'm going to get to James Thomas McDaniels, the question, another new member of the National Sports Radio station. I'm actually going to go to music break. When we come back, I'll answer James McDaniels' question, and then we'll go and I'll wrap up the show as we'll finish out talking about the Biogensis and all that stuff that's been going on from the last days of the 2012 year to the present day, where they are being linked to giving out PEDs, not just to Major League Baseball players, but to high school student athletes. We'll be back.
Hip-hop vaquero, you want my styles like hierro. dancing on my words on the edge of sombrero. The gringo, sing flows, yes, the cockazoid. Kill Agnes with a glance from the pupil of annoyed. A mic stored in underwear drawers of my dresser. Rhymes from True God, yours is child of Melissa. A lowercase G hanging under the bar. My G's above and beyond and shining bright from afar like North Star. Guided me to Gibson, the major Dr. Stranger. Like Blase Blah bringing danger. Infermos of Harmonico sick. Stand tall, surfing ink from Bic. Push the click, now I'm running. Leading down the L-pen shaft. And spin a phonograph to exercise a paragraph. Epitaph from killing off the flesh for 808. A low frequency to give you something to hate. We tie words uptight with lasso. With art from the soul, Pablo Picasso. And paintbrush in my discussion. When we touching time sublime with rap flow. We tie words uptight with lasso. With art from the soul, Pablo Picasso. And paintbrush in my discussion. When we touching Russian, it's like Van Gogh. Yo, I ride upon the trail, my heart's pumping oxygen. Like Indians and moccasins, I've been cheated and crossed. Tossed aside, my tribe's trying to survive. Yet the government's rise never came. So I strain to break dance with wolves till the presence action changed. Who shot the sheriff? I'm embarrassed by this trickery. So some come aboard the bandwagon of hickory. My lazy eye gives that warning. Watch your step. My six shooters mark with an immense love for death. A true desperado, my model's Bosnian plus. If you step, you end up in the wooden box in the dust. Birds cross my happy hunting ground, wild Bill couldn't tame. You get gunned down, it's about the fortune and fame. Spit out like tobacco, the names look upon as evil. Taking scalps and horseback till I change the strains. Got upon my people, all my people. I manipulate metaphors, bring the medication to heal hip-hop's many sores. Rushing through the corridor, and the middle, in the middle. I fit them with life's riddles and break them down to little riddles. I'm that multitasking, clean up your wasteful chatter like some canine fecal matter. Drop it in the bag and make the quick dash to make sure that it goes out with the morning trash. I'm that problem solving for all them questions asking, and you up and coming has-been. See, I was raised on rapping, kicks are where I tap, and the stairs is where I'm clapping. Most mistake rockin' for a swim, they call me the sack confession jerk. No joke, I smoke my goals, those are the bows, the one who rose and claim the style is lazy. They say they're underground and that they are my replacement. Even want you back down in the basement, but I continue to pound the pavement.
Welcome back to Stevens All Baseball Show. I don't put in the baseball because it ran out of room. Spreaker.com. Stevens All Out special here. We're just going straight after the Biogensis scandal and why Biogensis did you have to do this? Anthony Bosch, why did you have to do this? Stevens All Out Baseball Show special. Biogensis why is in affiliation with Spreaker.com, as I am part of the National Sports Radio Station. Please like us, like our page on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter and here on Spreaker.com. Let's continue with the show. Let's go with out of the 20 players in connection with Biogensis, 15 players that are the notable faces are under this tight scrutiny in the last year. Ryan Braun and Alex Rodriguez, the main ones, but let's give you some other ones. Everett Cabrera, the Padres, the infielder who made his first All-Star team this year. Francisco Cervelli hasn't played since April 26th with a broken hand, but he's had some setbacks. That's what Yankees GM Brian Cashman said. He might not play for the rest of the year, so possibly his suspension that he's possibly going to get will be, carried over to the 2014 regular season. Bartolo Colon, like I said, Melky Cabrera of the Blue Jays, Bartolo Colon of the A's. Nelson Cruz, an outfielder for the Rangers. I'm surprised about that. It's anybody can be a PED user, and that's a shame. And it was Nelson Cruz, who I thought he would never. He's just a clean player. He has 30 home runs. Those are normal stats, but I guess that was wrong. Yasmi Grandal, like I said, along with Melky Cabrera and Bartolo Colon, suspended last year for their first offense of, PED use. Gio Gonzalez, even though he's connected, sources told an ESPN reporter on the outside of the lines that Gonzalez received only legal substances. So it looks like Gio Gonzalez will get off the hook, but maybe he gets a few game suspension. With connection to that, I don't know. Just saying. Jesus Montero, the catcher that the Mariners acquired a few years ago from New York. Johnny Peralta of the Tigers. He says he's going to really fight his suspension if he gets suspended. Tigers are fearing for the worst in John Peralta's suspension, as they acquired at the trade deadline Jose Iglesias, the former infielder for the Red Sox, in the 3-team trade between the White Sox, the Tigers, and the Red Sox to send former White Sox pitcher Jake Peavy over to the Boston Red Sox, and then Alex Rodriguez, the main one in this one. So it's a shame. And I like to say this, some people might not know this, but some people, might. But Bosch coming into 2012 wasn't the first time he came into Major League Baseball's attention. And I didn't know that. I'm just correcting myself now. Bosch first came into Major League Baseball's attention in 2009 after Manny Ramirez, then with the Dodgers, tested positive for excessive levels of testosterone. While Ramirez appealed that finding, MLB officials discovered a prescription in Ramirez's medical file for human chronic gonadotropin, another banned substance. The HCG prescription, sufficient evidence to suspend Ramirez, was written by Dr. Pedro Bosch, who's Tony Bosch's father, and along with Tony was one of the head staffs at Biogensis. But sources said at the time that Tony Bosch actually had been, factualizing Ramirez's drug use. Ramirez was suspended for 50 games, and then suspended in 2011 for 100 games after he failed another test. So, it's a joke. Tony Bosch, you're ruining the game of baseball. Let's go to James Thomas McDaniel's question. The question is, if Biogensis means performance-enhancing drugs, then my opinion is that they're very wrong. So this is actually a comment, I should say, from James Thomas McDaniels. Honestly, I've read his work as a new member of National Sports, and has terrific, works that he has shown off to the public. Gives unfair advantages over clean players, shores immortality because it's cheating, is the sad reason that big names should be in the Hall of Fame, and they will never make it in the Hall of Fame like Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa or A-Rod. The voters for the Hall of Fame have already proven this. So Dave Ortiz took PEDs. I remember that very clearly, but he's very old. He's 38, and he's still hitting bombs. So think about that. Maybe his steroids are still in him. I don't know. Give me all the facts in the world. So I'll give you a little bit of facts on the Ryan Braun suspension for the remainder of the 2013 year. He's going to lose $3.25 million as a result because he won't be playing games. He's being suspended without pay with his involvement with Biogensis. He's not appealing the suspension this year. Last year he did, and he won it. At the time, I adore Ryan Braun. Great hitter and all that stuff. Great guy. But when I heard about the suspension or the testing positive in 2011 during the postseason, I'm saying he deserves to get the National League MVP if he wins it. Mainly because he got tested positive in the 2011 postseason, not during the regular season. If he got suspended during the regular season, then hell, you can take that MVP away from him for sure. He got tested positive during the postseason. He should have been suspended for the postseason, and then nothing would have happened with the NL MVP because he didn't take it during the regular season. For Matt Kemp, he has a little bit of a problem of bitching and moaning about, I was supposed to get it. I was in second place. He got suspended for it because he actually took it, but so I want my MVP or I don't want him to have it. Well, too bad. He deserved it, in my opinion. He took PEDs during the postseason to be better, to be a producer at the plate during the playoffs, where it counts much more than the regular season. for any baseball team, just like the Brewers. But, also Skip Schumacher has something to say about Ryan Braun. Like, dude, shush. You're not even a good baseball player. Why are you even talking? Also, a few months ago, back in March, Major League Baseball sued 6 players connected to the clinic, accusing them of damaging the sport by providing banned substances to his players. So that's the real reason why I'm doing the show. Why did they do this? You guys can state your questions. You can ask questions, or you can state your comments on the chat box on the bottom right hand of your screen. I'm about to wrap up very shortly. Again, Steven's All Baseball Show, Biogensis. Why did you do this? Why are you, like it says, you're damaging the sport. Damaging the sport. This is what Major League Baseball has to say. We sued the 6 players for this is in quotes, accusing them of damaging the sport by providing banned substances to his players, which is very powerful in my opinion. Damaging the sport. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this. That's why I'm here. Because why, Biogensis? Why did you do this? Why did you have to damage the sport by providing banned substances to his players? Not just to a couple players, not just to Manny Ramirez, not just to Ryan Braun, not just to Alex Rodriguez, but to 18 other players. I think the reason why is because they needed money. They needed money to, pay the rent. They needed clients, and they didn't get any clients. And they had to close out business. They tried their best. They had files saying, hey, we got these guys that are going to be committing a lot of money to our clinic, and, we need to invest in this. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't get the money. They lost it. And all Tony Bosch and his father Pedro Bosch could do is wait for the hell to break out, and their accusations of damaging the sport. Steven's All Baseball Special. I'm signing out. Steven Hughes out. Good night.